Today we're working on this beautiful 1967 Ferrari 330 GTC. And before we get started, I'm in an amazing home garage. It's got everything you can possibly imagine, the TVs and the car. It's just, it's a really cool place to be. And if I had a garage like this, I don't know if my wife would ever see me again. But moving on, we talk about cleaning our towels a lot, and if you remember in the McLaren video, I had this whole couple of different bags full of clean microfiber towels, and when something gets dirty like this from this car, wiping off polish and compound, it goes into another bag, and then I grab another microfiber towel. It's not, everybody sort of understands that, and it's pretty common, but what do you do with these microfiber cutting pads or your foam pads? How do you clean them? Because they are, I wouldn't call them cheap, but you can get a lot more life out of them if you maintain them. So as you can see here, I got a foam pad on my Roops polisher. But let me recap what we did here, and we'll shoot a quick video on how to actually wash these and get them back in order. And there's a few little tricks so that you don't make a mess on the car. But going to this, I'm actually coming out with some really great stuff, and it's the first time in a while that I've been pleased with version, I don't even know, 60 something that we're on right now. So I use that for leveling the paint, and then this amazing polish that we've been working with, and it's just starting to get there, so a jeweler's polish, and it's looking pretty good. I still have this area to do because I just wanted to show before and after, and it's going to be in a car show in the next couple of days. So anyways, let's show you how I actually wash these pads, and more importantly, once I'm done washing them, how do you put it back on the car again without making a mess? That's kind of the interesting issue. And of course, a lot of you have asked me, what do I do? Do I just toss them? And when do I toss them? Because I do, in fact, I sort of rank them, meaning brand new, like this one here, the white one, right? And then this is one that was just used on this car. I'm going to wash this on camera. And here's an example of one. You remember back in the video when we did the the yellow race car, when we were moving the rubber, and there was just a little trick to use them, and they're great if you want to remove rubber and gunk from the track. It's a great way to do it. But when a pad gets into this condition, it's so grimy that the hair and the microfiber little fibers here become kind of dreadlocked, and once they become dreadlocked, they go on the bottom of my pile. I don't necessarily throw them out, probably because I'm insane and cheap, but I will. I'll make these my dirty ones, where if I have to do underneath the car or something really just gross, where I don't really care. Like I said, see, I just dropped it. I don't even care. It's basically garbage. But if for some reason I need something in the engine compartment or some sort of freak weird place, I'll use those. And after I use it once or twice, like this one here is garbage time. And then, like I said, after a few passes of this will go down the rank, and then eventually this will be in that condition. That makes sense? So let's go over to the sink and I'll show you how to wash these properly. All right, when washing the microfiber towels, what I like to do is get a little bit of warm water. It doesn't have to be boiling hot, but a little warm is good. What you're gonna do is, this one was freshly used on the car, and not more than 5 minutes ago, it looked like this. So right off the bat, we already know that, is it a single stage paint or is it clear coated paint? So I'm not even gonna answer that. I'm sure by now, watching all these videos, you guys know that this is a single stage paint because there's paint transfer. So what I'm gonna do is rinse it off like this. And if you have a little sprayer here to get a little bit more pressure, that works too. You're gonna rub it with your hand, and as you can see it's coming out red. You're gonna rub it with your hand, and watch all the red coming out. So it's filling up the bottom of the sink here. So you're gonna rub it. Now, a lot of you have asked, are you gonna use soap and things like that? I do not use soap. Can you put it in the washing machine? I think technically you can. I've never put it in the washing machine because that's just not something I feel comfortable doing. It's perfectly clean this way. And then once you get it, I'm really squeezing this out. Once you get it fully washed out and fully squeezed, see, there's really not too much red stuff coming off. Shut your water off, and then kind of the most important step is to dry these properly, and I'll show you how to do that now. All right, as you can see, I moved outside because this part can be a little bit messy. Now, you don't necessarily need to be outside, but away from the car is preferable. Before I forget, I sometimes like to, when I have tons of you know, a lot of these to wash at once, what I'll do is I'll take my grit guard, put it in the bottom of the sink there, and take it while I'm washing it like I was doing before, and then use this to just help me kind of pull away all the junk that's in here. So that's another little trick. The ideal thing to do is to use compressed air, but a lot of times, you know, I would imagine most guys don't have compressed air readily available. So if you do have compressed air, that's number one thing. I like to keep it about, that far away from the pad, and make sure wherever you're blowing it is not on the car, obviously. But as you can see, I'll do one little section with it, and you can see how much of the red or the paint transfer comes off, and you're leaving yourself with a nice fresh pad here. Watch. You see that there? I'll spin it in case the light can catch it. So you can see that I blew a lot of the red stuff off, and more importantly, I made the fibers stand up again so that they can do their magic on the paint. Now, if you don't have air, which is really, I definitely recommend doing that, what you can do is put this on your machine, and you have your microfiber towel. You can simply rub it on there. What I like to, and look how much is coming off. You can do that, right? For some reason, I like to do this. Take it in my hand, it's nice and flat. You gotta be careful doing this. I put it flat and I turn it on. I'm squeezing it here, and I like to have the machine do a little bit of work. Now be careful because you're using a machine, and I don't want to get any emails of people losing fingers or whatever, but if you do it right, it's fine. Look, yellow towel, now it's red. So you can do that as well. On occasion, I also do it with my hand just to kind of get the extra water out, and I'll show you. I'm going to go re-wet this and show you what happens when you forget to dry off your pad. So it's crucial to get all the water out of here because what happens is, I'll show you in a minute, splatters everywhere. That's fairly obvious. And two, you're actually diluting whatever it is that you're using, whether this is a foam pad or a microfiber pad, or you're compounding or polishing, whatever you're using, you're diminishing it. So it's not going to give you the same returns that, that you've done beforehand. So it's a little bit off. So the idea is to try to get the pad in the same condition that you started with. So we're going to move over to the car. I'll show you what happens when you do it wrong, and then I'm going to show you what happens after each pass, meaning I basically do a 2x2 section maybe 3 or 4 times depending on the condition of the paint. Remember before, if it's really dirty and it turns black, well, that, you know, all bets are off. But on this particular one, I'll do 2 or 3 panels, and I'll show you how I basically maintain, and then after maybe half the car or a little bit less than half the car, I'll pull it off and start this whole process again. All right, so I washed the pad again, and I didn't actually use the air or spin the machine like we did before and had all the water sort of fly out. So a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll grab a microfiber towel and they'll just wipe it down and say, okay, well, it seems to be dry enough, nothing's really coming off. And what they'll do is they'll put they'll put some compound or whatever it is that they're using on the pad, and they'll head back to the car. They'll put it on, and this is sort of what happens when you do something like that. As soon as you start to do anything with it, it's going to throw water everywhere. As a matter of fact, I'm soaked. And by throwing water everywhere, you're making a mess, of course, but like I said, you're diluting the actual product that you're trying to use to cut or to polish or to do whatever it is that you're trying to do. So the big sort of key here is, actually looks like my lens got some on there too. The big key here is, if you don't have access to compressed air, make sure you use that little trick by holding the machine and turning it on so that the centripetal force will just throw off a lot of the water. But you're still even on the first pass, there's going to be a little bit of extra water, so be heads up on that. Make sure you're not in any sensitive areas that are going to get all, you know, gnarled up with compound or whatever. So now that I finished my 2x2 area, the last little tip I want to give you today is how to maintain the pad in between the washes. So what I do is I carry this usually in a little pocket right here when I'm polishing, or in this pocket over here. And what happens is that the fibers of the microfiber cutting pad get matted down. So they're not sticking up, they actually are laying down. And you want them to stick up so that they basically tickle the paint and or restore the paint, if that makes sense. So what I do is I take my little brush, you can use this one, or you can use a little paintbrush or whatever, but as long as it's semi-stiff, and then I go in, I stand the fibers back up like this. You see how they're tall again, as opposed to matted down? And then I usually have a towel over my shoulder or in my back pocket, and I'll come in here. And you don't really need to turn it on for this. You can, because you don't really need the centripetal force to throw the water like we did before. This one's just to kind of pick up any of the gunk that may have been picked up, or take off any of the gunk that may have been picked up from doing the paint, if that's not confusing enough. So I'll just rub it real quick. Lots of gunk came off, and then I'll follow on to the next panel. So these are just little tips on how to maintain your microfiber pads so they last longer, and more importantly, they actually do what they're supposed to do. Because as these get full and old, they're not going to cut anymore, and you're just going to waste your time. You're going to go through lots of pads. So hopefully that saves you a few extra dollars on some pads, and you get a really good looking car. If you have any questions, of course, about this, shoot me an email at larry@ammonyc.com. I am very excited. I'm not sure when this little video is going to air, but in about 4 days, we are shooting the first episode of season 2 of Drive Clean, and it's going to be a really good season. So I'm excited. So hopefully this comes out sometime before the actual Drive Clean season comes out, because that would be weird. But again, thanks for watching and all the support, and I get a lot of nice emails from you guys with some kind words. So I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.